Hello everyone, and welcome back to more Final Fantasy VII. We are at part 15. In the last part, we finished off Cosmo Canyon, and in this part, we're going to Cloud's hometown of Nibelheim, which was destroyed 5 years ago, but now seems perfectly intact. That's odd. And Barrett immediately calls Cloud out and is like, "You lying to us?" Because this is weird, because Cloud distinctly remembers the town was destroyed by Sephiroth 5 years ago, so why does it look fine now? Why is it perfectly intact and looks exactly the same as it did 5 years ago? There's also these people in black capes here, all talking about, you'll see them all over town, they're all talking about a reunion of some kind. But then Cloud is questioning this innkeeper here, asking him what the hell's going on. You know, this town burned down, and then the innkeeper doesn't have any idea what he's talking about. He's like, nope, I've lived here my whole life. So clearly something's going on, and we won't find out exactly what until later, but something weird is happening with this town. We've been in business here for a long time. Yeah, I kind of go all around town just talking to these people. This is one of my favorite moments in this game, because it's the beginning of the mindfuck. And this game is a mindfuck, let me tell you. But this is the first kind of instance of it, because before this, the story's been kind of complicated, but like, it's not necessarily hard to follow. You know, at this point, the goal is just to stop Sephiroth. But this is kind of the first hint at something much more complex going on, which it will explode into something later. This story, I think I said this story is pretty infamously convoluted. It's been compared to Kingdom Hearts, and I don't think that's a fair comparison, because excuse me if you can hear my dog barking in the background, but with Kingdom Hearts, I always get the sense that they were just kind of making up stuff as they went along. Like, the story just felt like, it felt like Tetsuya Nomura just going, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then they try to explain why later. This is a very complicated story, but it never feels like they're ever doing that. This feels like a very meticulously thought out, planned story. Nothing here, of course, no story is perfect, but overall, nothing here really, other than minor nitpicks, doesn't make sense. You might have to like think about it some, of course, but because the story is very complicated, especially once we get to disc 2, like, oh boy. But this is one of my favorite stories in this series. Definitely top 3 for me. I think this story is excellent, and I love just how wildly unexpected it gets. Because trust me, if you don't know anything about this game, this story is not going the way that you think is going. I don't know what way you think it's going, but it's not gonna go that way. But yeah, if you talk to all these people, these mysterious people in black capes, all of them seem like almost they're in pain or something, and they're all talking about some kind of reunion. But if you talk to them, a lot of them will give you items and stuff, which is pretty neat. Sephiroth is calling. Also, if you notice, on that gate there, I forgot to point this out during the Nibelheim incident flashback, but if on that gate there is actually the logo for the game, which I won't spoil what exactly the logo is, but it does mean something in this game. Now what I'm going to do here, we are actually getting a new party member in this part. It's our second and final optional party member. And the way you do that is you have to open a safe to get a key. It's like a basement key for this Shinra mansion. And the way you do that is by you have to solve multiple puzzles and solve riddles and stuff around the mansion to get the save combination. But thankfully, the save combination is not randomized, so if you just remember what it is, you can just, or you could just look it up and then get the save combination there, which is what I do. Well, I remembered it, but like still, it's a big time saver, so you don't have to go all around the mansion doing all that stuff. But that's not the only thing you have to do to get this party member, as you'll see here in just a moment. These enemies can be kind of annoying. They have funny breath, which can silence party members, and silence is a status effect that prevents them from using magic or summons, so that's kind of annoying. Or enemy skills too. Pretty much anything that uses MP they cannot use if they're silenced, so that kind of sucks. But yeah, there's the safe up there. Enemy launch, I think that's a new weapon for Barrett. Oh, it's not even as good. It has more materia slots, but they aren't linked, and it's not as powerful. So yeah, you can just open the safe. The combination is 36, 10, 59, 97, I'm pretty sure. 36, 10, 50, no, it's 59, 97, yeah, I think that's what I said. But there we go. It opens up. You get a materia, but first, to get the key and the materia, we have to fight a boss, and this boss is definitely the toughest one so far. So just be careful. He hits pretty hard. If you didn't do that grinding trick I talked about earlier, this fight might actually give you some trouble. Because it's optional. It's an optional fight. Because you don't have to do it. You don't have to get this party member. My first playthrough, I did not get this party member because I couldn't figure out this puzzle in the Shimmer Mansion. But later, I just looked it up for like my second playthrough of this game, and I got it. I was hoping it would be weak to the laser, so I could just take out half its health, but it's not. But yeah, just I stopped it. This is where this is one of those bosses. Thankfully, what makes this a lot easier for me is it's actually weak to stop, like susceptible to it. So if you have Cloud doing like the time added effect thing with his weapon, there's a chance that Cloud will just stop it in its tracks when you hit it, which is one of the reasons I love this thing, because this is otherwise kind of a tough boss fight that I'm actually making much easier because it's, it can attack now. So now I'm just hitting it as hard as I can. I'm going to show off the Ifrit summon because I believe I have not shown off Ifrit yet. But yeah, so time added effect, do it, it's good. Just being able to stop enemies in their tracks, even some bosses like this one, good, do it. I love that summon too. The summon animations are just so great. But yeah, now this boss fight, like I said, because it stopped, there it goes. Much easier. Without that, and without kind of the extra levels, that can be a pretty tough fight. So just be careful if you don't want to do any of the strategies that I'm suggesting. There's the key to the basement, and then we got Odin, and I'm just fast forwarding through this menuing just to save time. But Odin has a chance. Odin is a pretty good summon because it has a chance of instant killing just random encounters. So if you're having a real hard time with a random encounter and just want to get it done, use Odin, and there's a chance that the battle could just end. So that's nice. And of course you still get the experience and stuff. If you're having a major trouble with a battle and don't have Odin, you can always just run away, which you do by pressing the... I don't think I've done it yet, but you do it by just pressing the left and right bumpers on the controller, and then they'll run. It's not guaranteed, sometimes it takes a bit. And now we are in the basement, this weird music is playing, and now we're going to use the key to the basement to get through this door that would otherwise be locked, and there's a coffin in here. But first I get into a battle, and this battle takes way too long because I forget how to fight this enemy. Basically how this enemy works is there are two targets, and I don't realize there are two. One of them is weak to magic, the other is weak to physical attacks. If you attack both of them at the same time, and other than the limit break, it won't do as much. This boss fight takes like 3 years if you're trying to fight it like I am, so do not recommend doing that. Yeah, just actually think and don't just hit it really hard and that won't work, and it took me like 3 minutes to get through that fight, so that's why I fast forwarded through it. That enemy's kind of annoying. Anyways, let's check this coffin out here. We are getting to a character. This is a pretty well-known character. It's actually kind of really surprises me that this character was left optional, because this character is very important to fully understanding the story of this game. Specifically, Sephiroth's backstory is very closely linked to this character, as we'll see here in a minute. But why is he in a coffin? He's like a vampire. I could say some inside joke that me and my friends have, but I'm not gonna I'm not gonna do that. But anyways, so this guy knows Sephiroth, and he's like, yeah. We'll get more into his backstory way later, but this is just kind of basic stuff, and this is Cloud explaining just exactly what they've been through and his relationship to Sephiroth. And yeah, so this guy seems to know all about Sephiroth's backstory and the Genova project, and Yuffie just is not having any of this. Yuffie's calling him out for kind of being this brooding emo, but yeah, now he's just kicking us out. But first we're gonna prod him on a bit more. Who are you? Yeah, like, why do you know about all this? And then he says he used to be a member of the Turks, and his name is Vincent Valentine. Yeah, he used to be of the Turks, and now he has no affiliation with the Shinra, so clearly something's happening there. And now he asks about a woman named Lucretia, who was an assistant to Professor Gast during the Genova project, along with Hojo, who was also assistant to that, and she was the one who gave birth to Sephiroth. And while Sephiroth was in her womb, he was injected with Genova cells, and that ended up just really damaging, it kind of ended up really hurting Lucretia's body, and now nobody knows where Lucretia is. But how did Vincent get to be the way that he is? It's actually, to jump the gun ahead of it here, it's Hojo. Hojo and Lucretia were in love, and or so they thought. Well, first, let's get through this cutscene. This is Sephiroth is here. Are you going to participate in the reunion? What reunion? I don't even know what a reunion is. Come on, Cloud. Genova. So now we're getting some revelations here. Genova, Sephiroth describes her as a calamity from the skies, heavily implying that Genova is not actually an ancient, as we thought she was, and as Sephiroth seemed to think that she was before. So that's odd. What is Genova then? Both Ancients and Genova came from, another planet, but what can Genova be if it's not an Ancient? But anyways, so Hojo and Lucretia were supposedly in love, but in reality, Hojo was just using Lucretia as a means to fuel his disturbed science experiments, and that's how Sephiroth came to be. And it destroyed Lucretia's body, and when Vincent found out about this, Vincent also loved Lucretia. Well, Vincent truly loved Lucretia. Hojo didn't, but Lucretia loved Hojo. It's kind of this messy love triangle, but then Vincent approached Hojo about it, and Hojo in response shot and killed Vincent and experimented on his body, basically making him the monster that he is here. He's essentially an undead vampire thing now. And now, to kind of right the wrongs that Vincent feels that he's done in the past to Lucretia, and kind of helping to create Sephiroth, he now comes with us and joins the fight to stop him, to hopefully right those wrongs. But yeah, I don't use Vincent. Vincent, stat-wise, is pretty good, but Vincent has one major weakness, and that's that his limit breaks suck ass. His limit breaks, he turns into different monsters and essentially goes into like a berserker mode where you can't control what he's doing. And a lot of his forms have elemental like attacks, and a lot of times that means he'll use an elemental attack on an enemy that is resistant to it or straight up absorbs it, and it will heal. He will just heal the enemy sometimes, and that's infuriating, and I hate that. So I prefer to just use limit breaks that are just these really strong physical attacks that will pretty much guarantee damage no matter what, and I can control when they use the attack. So yeah, I had to cut out another battle there. That was why that jump cut was awkward. I get into a lot of battles in here, but anyways, but yeah, now we got another party member that I don't use, like I said, but Vincent is good to have for story reasons. Like I said, he helps explain more about Sephiroth, and also more about Hojo and kind of how just insane, fucked up Hojo is. But yeah, now we, as Sephiroth's told us to do, to see what exactly he means by reunion, we are going north, back to Mount Nibel, to see what exactly he's talking about and what everyone's talking about with this so-called reunion, and to hopefully learn more about just what exactly Jenova is, and in turn what exactly he is. Because if Jenova's not an ancient, then what does that make Sephiroth? So this is, the plot thickens, but yeah, so we're just continuing on. We're heading north, up to Mount Nibel, which we've already been to in the flashback sequence. But yeah, we get that nice hit in the overworld music. Oh, I love this song. And I'm just saving really quick, you know, just in case. I actually, I leave it in because I make a mistake and then I have to loop all the way back around in one point here to get treasure and stuff. And I leave that in just because this part's already a bit shorter anyway. Once I get editing, I need to, you know, probably just leave it recording for a bit longer. But I always see like, oh, I've been recording for like 45 minutes. And then I realize, well, like a good chunk of that recording is battles, so I probably should learn better to just, you know, maybe record a bit longer if I'm getting into a lot of battles, so the part can still be, you know, a decent length. I mean, this is still, you know, I think 28 minutes, that's more than close enough to 30. It's fine. It's not like I'm making consistently 20-minute parts. Some are longer, you know, it's fine, and we're making good pace. Part 15, and we're already at this point in the game. That's pretty good. I was expecting the series to probably be around like 50 or so parts, but with the pace that I'm going at, it might end up being quite a bit shorter than that, which that's really good. Well, not quite, more like maybe like 40 to 45 parts, rather than, you know, 50 to 60, which is what I was expecting, but we'll see. I'm not done recording the game, not even close done to recording the game. Like I said, I always kind of record 3 parts ahead, so right now I have through part 18 recorded, and then I will do voiceover in 3-part increments, and then yeah, that's how I'm doing this. So right now I have through part 18 recorded as I'm recording the voiceover for parts 13, 14, and 15, and then before I start the voiceover for parts, you know, 16 through 18, I will then have parts 19, 20, and 21 recorded. I think you get how it works. Runeblade. I actually don't use this because it's only 1 more power, and I like the linked materia because, you know, time added effect. I like having that linked materia, even though the materia growth is double. You know, we'll still get plenty of materia growth with the optional bosses and stuff. Oh, we're gonna get plenty of materia growth. We'll be fine. Don't you worry about it. But yeah. So we're just making our way along. We've already been to these areas and stuff. There's the bridge again, but this is still begs the question: why is Nibelheim intact? What's going on here? and Sephiroth clearly saying, like he said in the basement, this place brings back memories, so clearly Sephiroth was there. And I mean, of course, Cloud remembers it that way, so why is Nibelheim intact? Something weird's going on. But here I am. I actually think I'm an idiot, and because I see Barrett or something like that, I think it's for Barrett, and then I'm like, oh wait, no, that's actually a weapon for Red 13. But yeah, we actually only have one more party member to get, which is we'll see in a few parts. And yeah, after that we have all the party members in the game. There's 9 in the game total. So yeah. That's pretty neat. But my final party, if you've probably guessed, is going to be Cloud, Yuffie, and Barrett. Just so, you know, back row stuff. If I get another long range materia, I might switch that out, but I can't remember. I think there's another place to get it, or if I master my long range for Cloud, then I might switch them out. But otherwise, I have no problem with this party setup at all. Cloud, Yuffie, and Barrett is a pretty solid party. It has all the bases covered. Everyone's able to be in the back row. Their limit breaks are all pretty decent. Yuffie's limit breaks aren't the best, but they still are good damage dealers, and Yuffie more than makes up for it with her magic abilities, so that's good. But yeah. We're just kind of making our way along. Vincent, I actually used Vincent in my second playthrough of this game. When I got Vincent, I used him all the way through endgame, and that's how I know for a fact that his limit breaks are horrendous. But yeah, I get this treasure chest here. It's an all materia, just in case you don't have enough of those. The game just basically throws them at you. In this area also, we'll see it in a bit. There's a big ass green dragon that you can fight, and I will show this off in the next part because I forget to do it here. Those things I believe have gold bangles, if I'm remembering correctly, and you can steal those from the enemy. So steal those, and gold bangles are really good armor for this point in the game. So do that. Steal those. I believe I do that in the next part. If I'm remembering correctly. I might have forgotten to, but hopefully I didn't. Silver bangles will get you by just fine, but you know, if you want to get the more optimal equipment, you can go for it. We got a nice level up for Barrett. That's great. Like I said, level ups, now that we have HP plus and MP plus, they're gonna mean a lot more. That's a boss right there. That big ass bird thing, that's a boss. So just if you aren't prepared to fight it yet, don't walk into it. I speak from experience. My first playthrough, I made that mistake, and I actually got a game over because I walked into it before saving and lost about 10 minutes of progress. So that was a little frustrating. So just don't walk into it. Just avoid it. To get the rest of the treasure from those tubes, this is what I was talking about. I kind of messed up, and I need to loop back around. So that's what I'm doing here. But yeah. I think I try to go this way for a bit, and then I realize that this is not the right way. So yeah, don't mind me just fumbling around. I kind of had a stroke this part and just forgot exactly what to do. Which might happen a bit in the later parts of this game. This is me being like, wait. I probably should have cut this out, but I don't know. I think it's pretty funny to watch me fumble around like this. This might happen some in some of the later parts of this game where I forget exactly where to go in these backgrounds. Of course, I never forget, like, you know, where our next destination is and what's happening next. I played this game enough to remember that, but just specifically, like, where to navigate through these backgrounds. Sometimes I might have a bit of a brain fart and kind of forget, but just bear with me, you know. This is not a speed run. This is just me, a commentary where I talk about this game and all of that stuff. Here I'm speeding this up. But yeah. Oh, and then I think that, yeah, this is me. I speed it up because I thought I'm using an emulator, like I said. So I speed up the battle to get a move on. on the emulator, but then I realized, wait, we haven't seen this enemy yet. So then I'm like, I should probably show this. So yeah, you know, this is professional commentary here. You know, it's great. But yeah, this is the dragon I'm talking about. I forget to steal because I don't have the steel materia equipped here. But just know that these guys have gold bangles, and steal those from them if you run into them, because those are good armor for this point in the game. But yeah, anyways, just making our way along here. It's a fun time. I'm trying to remember how to get that treasure chest, and I believe I just skip it. Not, you know, you don't have to get every treasure chest. This game overall is pretty easy, like I said, not the hardest game in the world. So just, you know, it's me fumbling around a bit more. Anyways, yeah, not the hardest game in the world. So you don't have to get everything to survive. Definitely, I would say difficulty-wise when it comes to the Final Fantasy games, when it comes to the ones I've beaten, and the ones I've beaten are 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, and 15 are all the ones that I've beaten. I've played a pretty extensive amount of Final Fantasy 1 and Final Fantasy 8, but I have not beaten either of those. I've barely touched like Final Fantasy 3 or 2 or 13. I've barely touched any of those. So yeah, from the ones I've beaten difficulty wise, the hardest is definitely 5. 5 is actually a pretty good challenge. I even say it's probably harder than 1. I just enjoyed 5 extensively, much more than 1, which is why I would beat that and not 1. Then, and by the way, when I say difficulty, I don't mean like grindy. I mean like just the game is legitimately hard. Because grinding isn't really difficult. That's just you get your stats up so you can fight the boss or whatever. 5 is the hardest. Then after that, I would say it's followed by 9. 9 isn't super hard. None of the others are super hard, but 9 is a very well-balanced game, where... And there I am messing up again, but at least I knocked the ladder down this time. 9 is a pretty well-balanced game, but, like a very well-balanced game. So it's not too easy, not too hard. It's a very good level of difficulty. The final boss of 9, though, is actually very difficult. Excuse me. And then after that, I would put probably Final Fantasy 4, because it depends on what version you play. I would say the DS version of 4 is actually harder than Final Fantasy 9, but the Super Nintendo version is easier, and one of the easier Final Fantasies overall. But the PSP version is pretty well balanced, and I would say that's a bit easier than 9, a bit a bit harder than Final Fantasy 6, which is or Final Fantasy 7, which is the next, and then 6 is the easiest. So this is like the second easiest Final Fantasy to me. But yeah, anyways, in the next part we're going to take on that boss. That'll do it for this part. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time for more Final Fantasy 7.